what is most rewarding about your job?
I really mean this. I think when I see people reaching their own potential and they surprising themselves is the most fun part of my job. की काही लोक असे येऊन मला म्हणतात की I never thought I'd be able to do this and I was able to do this. I never thought I'd be able to do this project. I never thought I'd become a director. I never thought, right? And I think there used to be this, in our India office, we used to do this Parents' Day, where parents came to visit their workplace of their kids. And these are kids like 30, 40 years old, whatever. So not kids really, but their sons and daughters. And I think the joy on their faces, how proud they were about their children, and how proud they were about their accomplishments. I think that for me is the fun part. And when people come and say, hey, I got a new car, or I got a new house, or I did this, or this is, I'm able to send my kid to this, this college or this private school, I just feel like that's the most fun about our jobs. If we are able to do that for people, I feel like that's pretty cool.
What advice would you give to the next generation of female leaders?
मी तुम्हाला सांगते की नेक्स्ट जनरेशन इज ॲक्च्युली सो स्मार्ट आय एम सो हॅपी अबाउट इट की मला नाही वाटत की मी त्यांना फार जास्ती ॲडवाईस देऊ शकते पण मी हिअर इज वॉट आय थिंक इफ आय वर अगेन 25 years old, this is what I would do. First of all, I think have a growth mindset. And that's the book is called Mindsets, and they talk about growth mindset. And growth mindset just means if you got something wrong, if you were not able to do something, it's like saying, yeah, I didn't get it this time. I failed this exam. I didn't, appear for this particular interview and it didn't go well. And growth mindset is to say, yeah, I'll fix it in the future. Like there is no limit, right? You'll fix it in the future. You'll redo it. You'll figure it out, right? That's really important because it keeps you learning, right? There is no finite end. आपल्याला कधी-कधी वाटतं की हे जर एक प्रमोशन मिळालं नाही ना म्हणजे झालं म्हणजे आता काही याच्या पुढे काही अर्थ नाही. It's never like that. So never feel like that's it. This is the end. This is the fixed capacity. आता एवढंच होऊ शकतं. याच्या नंतर आता काही राहिलेलं नाही, right? लोक असं बरेचदा बोलतात ना आता मी 50 वर्ष झाली याच्या पुढे काय होणार आहे? अरे आफ्टर 50 the life starts. Your kids are in college. What? Have fun. Right? So what I feel is have growth mindset. The second thing I'll tell you, very, very important at the age of, let's say, 25, 30, young generation, take care of your health. It's really important, both physical and emotional. And physical, that means you're active, you're doing something that you're pursuing to stay healthy. But emotional health is also important. How much time are you spending on social media? Is it helping you, not helping you? Are you hanging out with the right people? Is it helping you or not helping you? Are you experiencing these swings? Like, kadi-kadi khubas happy, kadi-kadi khubas sad. Manage your emotions. And lastly, I would say create your own plan and follow your own heart and own plan. Don't say my neighbor is doing this. आपल्या इंडियात फार होते यांच्या आपट्यांच्या मुलांनी असं केलं अरे आपट्यांच्या मुलांनी केलं प्रभू दे ना मी काय करू राईट बट इट वॉज लाईक बर्व्यांच्या मुलांनी असं केलं तो बघा किती हे झालं अरे व्हॉट शुड आय डू नाउ सो आय थिंक क्रिएटिंग युअर ओन प्लॅन इज व्हेरी इम्पॉर्टंट स्टिक टू युअर प्लॅन
आता थोडं लाईटर प्रश्नांकडे वळूया मुलं लहान असताना तुम्ही हा वर्क लाईफ बॅलन्स कसा साधला आता कसा साधताय आणि डू यू फील यू मिस्ड समथिंग व्हेन दे वर ग्रोइंग अप
I definitely missed something. When they were growing up, I feel like there were lots of times I didn't have time. I would be one of the last parents to just dash and somehow make it to their recitals. एकदा मी माझी मुलगी जेव्हा kindergartenमध्ये होती तेव्हा मी तिच्या शाळेत गेली and they were supposed to have a performance. And I went, and of course I was a little bit late than other moms. आणि प्रत्येक मॉम इतके कॅमेरे घेऊन आले होते माय गॉड ऑल आय हॅड वॉज वन लिटल दिस थिंग हे जुनी गोष्ट सांगते मी तुम्हाला म्हणजे एव्हरीबडी इज सो प्रिपेअर्ड अँड आय वॉज जस्ट डॅशिंग फ्रॉम वर्क अँड ट्राईंग टू मेक इट राईट आणि मग मी आपलं वेअर इज माय डॉटर आय वॉज आस्किंग अँड देन फायनली समबडी सेड आय थिंक शी इज इन द रेस्टरूम and then I knocked and she came out and she is like 6 years old, right? Like she is really little. And she's dressing herself up because all other moms were dressing their kids because they were 10-15 minutes earlier than me. And my daughter was dressing herself up and already kind of, she knew, right? So she was like, okay, I'm going to get myself dressed. So she went into the restroom herself, started getting dressed. And I just really felt like, oh my God, I wish I was here earlier, right? I think I could have done better. I don't think I had to be late everywhere, and I think I could have done better. If I were to give my advice to myself, I would say do less, enjoy yourself more. I would have done differently. But I'll also tell you, my kids are really independent because of that, and which is a great quality. I mean, they are not waiting on me to give them some story of life. They have a plan, and they are, and also the suspense was my kids turned out to be pretty normal, at least right now, right? They are like any other, I mean, my 18-year-old is like any other 18-year-old. Spends too much time on Instagram, spends too much money, I mean, all that other stuff, right? Sometimes I see him with Starbucks and I'm like, look at that glass, how big is it? Why can't you are a student, why can't you get a smaller glass? And he's like, no, but everybody gets it this way. So, I mean, they are as spoiled as all other teenagers, and, as loving as all other teenagers. And I feel like, so, no major accidents happened, right, which was great. And I feel like I definitely did miss something, for sure. But I also feel like I had just some terrific moments. So it's all a trade-off as to, how you balance all that. But work-life balance, I'll just tell you, what I started doing is and even to this day I do it. I try to find things where you can combine 2 or 3 activities. So for example, you want to stay healthy, you also want to spend time with your kids, you also want to be, relieving stress. And I was like, I can't do 3 activities for these 3 things, I need to combine. So I used to tell my kids, you come for a walk with me. And then we used to go for a walk. That gives us chance to catch up on stuff, right? You will see me a lot of times, sometimes just walking and talking to somebody on the headphone from a work perspective. My daughter started recognizing this and she said, I'm not coming because this is a lecture walk. Because she knew that from now on. So we had to reduce the lecture part of it. But I try to always do things. You want to learn something, but you also have things to do in the kitchen. You can always listen to podcasts while you're loading dishwasher, right? Like, I mean, I try to do 3 things at the same time. And that's the only way I can kind of, and work-life balance, sometimes I just say, I'm not going to work this evening. Like, I'm not going to reply to email unless and until the world came to an end. I'm not going to make anything for anybody. And I'm going to just sit with my book and read it for 3 hours or go for a long walk and stuff like that.
Tell us more about your hobbies. Any new hobby you picked up over the pandemic?
So pandemic, what I did was I started learning piano. And let me tell you, piano is really tough. It is hard, my God. Are there any instrument players in the audience? Because then I have a lot of admiration for you guys. Look at these talented people. My God. Oh, very good, very nice. And you know what? It is so tough. It's like learning a new language because you're reading the music, then you have a hand-eye coordination. Oh my God, it is. And every Sunday there is a class and I'm so stressed out because of it. I mean, my teacher is only 25-year-old. She's such a nice person. And I'm afraid of her. Oh my God, if I'm not done with my homework and stuff like that. But I also saw a lot of like Sudoku, puzzles. I love that. Like when I get 10-15 minutes, I just do that. I love watching. मला मराठी नाटकं फार आवडायची किंवा movies मला फार आवडतात. So I love doing some of that. And stuff.
Have you binge watched any Netflix show recently?
Of course, that was like a pandemic thing, right? मला काही shows फारच आवडायचे जसं like Crown. I liked it a lot. I loved it. There are lots of World War II documentaries on Netflix. I really like historic stuff. पण मला असे भयंकर म्हणजे like Kim's Convenience is I don't know if anybody has watched that show, right? I love it. It's so like you don't have to use your brain. It's so fun. It's a South Korean family. It feels like an Indian family. It's amazing. Yes.
जेव्हा तुम्ही ऑफिसमध्ये काम करत नसता, what would you like to do?
What I love is spending time with family and friends. I get most satisfaction when I'm just sitting down with people and we're just talking about stuff or I'm listening to them. My fun parts of the day is when my son somehow generally they don't have time for parents, and they should not, which is really, I mean, I completely understand it. But suddenly something will happen and he'll come to our little dining table and we'll be sitting there for like 20-25 minutes and we are drinking tea and he just then starts telling me stuff. Or my daughter suddenly will call me and she'll start telling me stuff, which is really difficult to otherwise draw out. And I would be like, wow, this is so cool. I mean, just the fact that you get to talk with them. आणि मला फिरायला जायला फार आवडतं म्हणजे आय वुड लव टू एनी डे आय मीन Pradnya knows this, but like we would just go for a walk, and sometimes when I'm very stressed out or I'm really happy, any case, walk makes me, if I'm already happy, it makes me happier. And if I'm stressed out, by the time I come back from the walk, I'm like, why was I making such a big deal about everything? Everything is fine and stuff like that.
तुम्ही जर ह्या प्रोफेशनमध्ये नसतात, लिडरशिप रोलमध्ये नसतात, what else you would be?
There are so many things to do and I really need it. मला असं वाटतं की there are, म्हणजे I could have easily become, here is the thing, right? Lots of different things. I could have easily been a very happy mom of 5 kids. कधी-कधी मी या familiesला पाहते ज्यांना 4 आणि 5 मुलं असतात. And I'm like, man, this is great. I would have run the house like a boss. Like I would have I could have easily been that. I could have easily been a teacher. I would have loved teaching. To go and really work with much younger people. That I think that keeps you young. And teaching kids would have been just really amazing. I could have done like a traveling salesman job. I would have loved it. I mean, I'm telling you. So I think there are lots of professions I have extreme interest in. I feel like there are lots of pathways to choose. This is what I feel. I really feel like there are lots of professions that are pursuing hobbies that could really make you happy.
तुम्हाला कुठला खेळ खेळायला आवडतो? आणि स्पोर्ट्स?
नाही, मी ना स्पोर्ट्समध्ये मला पाहायला फार आवडतं बाबा, पण मला म्हणजे काही टॅलेंटच नाही आहे स्पोर्ट्समध्ये. आणि आय टेल यू, आय हॅव अ हजबंड हू इज एक्स्ट्रीमली टॅलेंटेड, हू प्लेज ऑल काइंड्स ऑफ, ही जस्ट पिक अप समथिंग, इट्स फन टू वॉच. ते काहीतरी असं सुरू करतात. आणि माझी मुलं सुद्धा म्हणजे स्की, फर्स्ट टाइम ही वेंट ऑन स्लोप, ही न्यू स्की. मी आहे की बाप रे, व्हॉट इज गोइंग ऑन हियर? की सारखं पडलं, finally I said, you know what, this is not for me. But I am a big watcher of sports, कारण मला असं वाटतं की it has, sports and business have so many similarities. You have to have passion, you have to have teamwork, you have to have determination. Every morning, त्यांनी एकदा छान म्हटलं होतं की what is the difference between a great sportsman and a good sportsman? And they both get very tired because every day they are working really hard. But the next morning when they wake up, the great sportsman says, you know what, I'm really tired. And I would rather just sleep in this bed for 30 more minutes. And even as they are feeling, they start wearing shoes, they start picking up their bag and they get out of the door, right? And that's what makes you a great sportsman. And I feel like business is somewhat like that. Because there are some mornings you wake up and you're like, oh my God, can't believe I had to solve this problem again, it is so difficult. And I think what kind of differentiates is you have to just get up and say, you know what, I may not be able to solve it today, but I'm going anyways, and I'm going to try and figure it out. And I feel like there is a lot of similarity. I love watching cricket. I'll never forget the 1983 World Cup match, and I don't know if there are so many of you don't even know what I'm talking about, you're so young. But the 1983 was like the first time India won the World Cup, and I'll never forget watching that match in my aunt's house, because she was the only one who had color TV. And there were like 40 people sitting in the living room because they had no other TV to go and watch. So those were the days, and I won't forget some of the matches I've watched and games I've watched.
तुमच्यासाठी एक मराठी रॅपिड फायर प्लॅन केला आहे, सरप्राईज, ज्याची तुम्हाला एका ओळीत उत्तरं द्यायची. एखादं मराठी पुस्तक जे तुम्हाला खूप आवडतं आणि जे तुम्ही आम्हाला रेकमेंड कराल?
I love पु ल देशपांडे's अपूर्वाई.
मराठी फिल्म आवडती मराठी फिल्म?
Marathi film. Now I have to go back really in the memory. I have not watched a Marathi film for such a long time. पण लहानपणी मी भयंकर पिक्चर पाहिजे. I remember like Pizza from such a long time ago and stuff, and I don't even know if like so many of you may not even know.
आवडती महाराष्ट्रीयन डिश?
I'll tell you something. भेंडीची भाजी. माझी आई जी
महाराष्ट्रातली अशी कुठली जागा आहे जी तुम्हाला फिरायला जरा जिथे खूप आवडतं?
You know, I'll tell you what, Nagpur जवळ एक पेंच नावाचं there is a dam and it's a beautiful, there is a dam and there is a walkway. I would love that.
One thing about you which describe you as a Marathi movie.
You know, I just think my eating habits, कारण तुम्ही जर असं म्हणजे जर कढी बनवलेली असेल, भेंडीची भाजी and all that, I'll gravitate towards that. I'll leave butter chicken आणि सगळं Marathi. I'm not that interested in that. So I think that would kind of differentiate me as a Marathi.
भेंडीची भाजी आहे ना? बनवायला गेलं.
तुम्ही खूप वर्षांपासून इथे राहताय. महाराष्ट्रातलं काय तुम्ही इथे मिस करताय?
I think the art scene, right? म्हणजे आपण मला वाटतं जेव्हा महाराष्ट्रात होतो तेव्हा I think this is what I learned in my family growing up. की संगीत, नाटक, विनोद आणि stand-up comedian is a phrase we use in US. पण खरं म्हणजे सांगू का, पु ल देशपांड्यांसारखा चांगला स्टँडअप कमेडियन मला आजपर्यंत पाहिला. I think his jokes were so funny, but they were so deep and there was so much meaning behind it. I mean, I don't think I've met anybody. I have not heard anybody like that. And I think that is our greatest gift.
थँक्यू सो मच सीमांतिनी. आज तुम्ही आमच्यासाठी वेळ काढलात आणि खूप मनमोकळ्या गप्पा मारल्या. हे इन्स्पायरिंग पण होतं आणि तुम्हाला जाणून घेण्याची खूप छान ऑपॉर्च्युनिटी पण होती आम्हाला. हो विमेन आपल्या ऑडियन्समध्ये कोणाला काही प्रश्न असतील तर आपण आता विचारू शकतो.
मगाशी बोलताना पुष्कळ वेळेला असा उल्लेख आला तुझ्या बोलण्यामध्ये की आय हॅव अ वंडरफुल हजबंड इज बीन सपोर्टिंग. तर मी स्वतः तुला आणि विनोदला मित्र म्हणून ओळखते. मला ही गोष्ट माहिती आहे, पण मला खात्री आहे की आपल्या ऑडियन्समधल्या सगळ्यांना एक गमतीशीर गोष्ट ऐकायला आवडेल. एवढा उत्तम वंडरफुल हजबंड तुला भेटला कुठे?
I just want to add that, I mean, तुम्ही बोलत होता तेव्हा मी तेच विचारणार होतो की कॅन वी कॉपी इट?
आम्ही एकाच कॉलेजमध्ये गेलो तर ही जी म्हणाली ना की नॅशनल इन्स्टिट्यूट ऑफ टेक्नॉलॉजी, दॅट टाइम इट वॉज नोन एज VRC इन नागपूर अँड दॅट्स वेअर वी बोथ वेंट. तो धारवाडचा आहे, तो कन्नडी म्हणजे कन्नडा बोलतो, कन्नडिगा आहे, दे आर कॉल्ड कन्नडिगाज. आणि सो इज फ्रॉम कर्नाटका. आणि जेव्हा आम्ही ठरवलं की लग्न करायचं तेव्हा म्हणजे प्रज्ञा इट वॉज माय गॉड व्हेरी बिग प्रॉब्लेम. कारण म्हणजे आपण सगळे लोक महाराष्ट्रीयन आहोत, वी आर व्हेरी प्राऊड ऑफ बिंग महाराष्ट्रीयन्स अँड वी अज्युम दॅट आर सन्स अँड डॉटर्स आर गोइंग टू मॅरी महाराष्ट्रीयन्स. आणि ही कधीची गोष्ट आहे म्हणजे दिस इज लाईक 1990. So this was a big shock to my mom and all my relatives and stuff like that. So it was pretty scandalous at that time that I'm deciding to marry a Kannadi guy and all that. आणि थोडे दिवस लोक माझ्याशी बोलले पण नाही की म्हणजे काय, and then everything became okay. But I met him in the college. आणि मग कॉलेजमध्ये आमची तशी ओळखी होती फार, म्हणजे I knew him and he knew me. पण मग आम्हाला कॅम्पस इंटरव्ह्यूमध्ये एकाच ठिकाणी नोकरी मिळाली, विच वॉज इन बॉश इन बँगलोर दॅट टाइम. आणि देअर वी रिअली गॉट टू नो इच अदर अँड आय जस्ट फेल्ट लाईक really it was not one of those love at first sight and stuff like that. It was really, I mean, he was a very nice guy and stuff, but I think over the period of 6 to 9 months to a year, I felt like, when I'm with him, I'm always happy and he makes me laugh. And he's always saying things, he's always helping me, and I just felt like I'm my happiest and my best when I'm with him. And I can say that even today, like I'm my happiest and best when I'm with him. And I just felt like, we must get married, and even if he was not a Maharashtrian, that is okay.
You skipped the fun part. How did he impress your mom?
Oh, that's very important. No, she's right. So he was known to my family because he was my friend and he would come home many times. And my mom would play chess with him. So she would literally wait for Vinod, like, to yenar hai, and आम्ही chess खेळणार. And she lost every single time. Like she used to lose every single time. And sometimes I told him, like, let her win sometimes. But the moment I said I'm going to marry him, and then she was like, you know, how come? It was like, you know, any typical mother. But, you know, that's where I met him. We've been married now for like 28 years or something.
अजून कुणाला काही प्रश्न विचारायचे?
मला वाटतं माईकची गरज नाही आहे ना, म्हणजे ट्राय करा नाही तर माईक देऊयात. या या.
So first of all, I would like to thank you for sharing with us such an inspirational and lively conversation today. The tip for softening the ground before meeting was really helpful. So my question is, could you please share an example how being a woman you have empowered any other woman?
Yeah, so here's the thing, what I always do is, when I'm in meetings, first of all, whether they are men or women, right? If somebody is not speaking, I'll seek them out. So when we are in a meeting, let's say Pradnya and Aditi are here, and they haven't said anything for the first 20 minutes, I'll say, Aditi, what do you think, right? And that's always a good thing to do, because then Aditi has a stage, like she can say what she wants, right? I think I hope, and I really feel that way, and you know, hopefully Lowe's people would say exactly the same thing. I think I've created an environment where everybody should really feel empowered and equal. There is nothing like, well, you should not say anything, this is your title, you know, we don't like it. So many times when we have meetings, we don't say, well, only if you have this level or above, you should come to a meeting. What we generally say is, hey, you know what, leave the title outside, right? And then everybody comes to the meeting who has a knowledge about this topic and actually can help us make a decision. And even in the decisioning, I always encourage people to say, please disagree with me. Tell me if I'm wrong. And they do a really good job. And I'm wrong many times, and they do a really good job of letting me know. And many times when it comes to recognition, I am always watching for, are we recognizing, how come we are recognizing only so many women? How come only so many women are getting promoted? How come training opportunity came, how come we did not suggest any women's names? So I'm just making sure, and now it is becoming, like people even before they come with a list to me, they know what questions I'm going to ask. So they will make sure that there is women representation, there is representation of everybody. And I feel like a lot of women, like 3 of my direct reports, our innovation team of Lowe's is being run by a woman who's a vice president of innovation. And she's amazing. Shell Friedman is her name. She's out of our Seattle office. And you know, innovation, again, for whatever reasons, it's always considered a field of men. Somehow men are going to innovate, right? And so when this job came up, I said, hey, Sheryl should do it. And Sheryl would be great for it. And there are many examples when I said, you know what, this particular woman here should get promoted. This particular woman here can do this job. And so we did lots of unconventional things with our women workforce, and they are doing amazing. I'm telling you, there are so many women at Lowe's who are just doing a phenomenal job.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
तुम्ही 3 पुस्तकांची नावं सांगितली ती परत एकदा सांगा.
Yes, no, I think that's a really good question. Mindsets म्हणून एक पुस्तक आहे. And Karen Dweck nearly. But if you search for mindsets, you know, you'll find it. The other one is Crucial Conversations, and there is one called, third is called Crucial Accountability.
Crucial
Accountability.
Thank you.
नेक्स्ट.
आदित्य, थँक्यू म्हणते तुम्हाला. तुमचं बोलणं ऐकून असं वाटलं की आम्हीही काही करू शकतो. कारण फक्त तुमचं मे बी जॉब डिस्क्रिप्शन खूप कॉम्प्लेक्स असेल, पण आम्ही स्टेप बाय स्टेप मे बी इन फ्युचर वी विल रीच देअर. आणि
ऑफकोर्स, येस.
आणि आय वॉज मेकिंग शुअर तुम्ही 4 लोकांमध्ये आहेत, मी काही बोलतीये.
That's awesome. And I'll tell you something, I want you guys in the audience can become much more than what I have become, is what I really want you to remember. It's not about, don't try to say we'll become like her. I want you guys to say I'll become better than her. And I really want that to happen.
मला एक विचारायचं होतं, तुमच्या करिअरच्या बिगिनिंगमध्ये तुमचे कोणी मेंटर्स होते का? आणि तुम्ही आजच्या यंग प्रोफेशनल्सना काय रेकमेंड कराल, हाऊ टू सीक आउट गुड मेंटर्स आणि कसं तुम्ही ते एस्टॅब्लिश करावं, हाऊ टू प्रेझेंट युअर सेल्फ टू अ पोटेन्शियल मेंटर?
You know, mentors are really important. I really love this question. Mentors are really important, and I have had mentors. Many times I was seeking mentors who are not like me, right? But for the longest time, I did not have women mentors. And that was not because I thought like women mentors won't teach me something. But I really needed to hear from men because they were representing 89-90% of the workforce. And I needed to understand what is going on in their head, right? So having men as mentors, and they were very generous with their time and advice. I'm really telling you, men can be our biggest allies as we are trying to make progress in different places. At the same time, I'll also tell you, mentor is not a shrink. So mentor is not like a 1-800 line, like every time you have a problem, call them, right? You have to know which problems to take to them, right? Which problems that you have to solve on your own. One time there was a big decision about, hey, should we move back to India for an expat assignment? And I called my mentor and I said, hey, what do you think about that? And these are the pros and cons. You have to do some homework, but mentors are a great resource. And always try to find out what you want to learn from that mentor and go and tell them and just make a nice proposal, like a couple of slides, and say, hey, this is who I am, this is my background, this is my next step, this is what I want to learn. And here is why I think you can teach me all these things. And I tell you, if you present it nicely and professionally, nobody will say no.
थँक्यू सो मच सीमांतिनी.
मला एक प्रश्न आहे, विचारू का? वेळ आहे का? तर ॲज अ लीडर म्हणजे वी ऑल नोज की बाबा फेल्युअर म्हणजे काय, बट ॲज अ लीडर व्हॉट डू यू सी की ओके दिस इज फेल्युअर बट हाऊ शुड आय ओव्हरकम इट? आय थिंक.
No, and Sandeep, that's a great question. See, I don't want us to think about it as a failure. I want to think about it as a setback, right? And there will be many, many setbacks. I'll tell you, my opinion is the only irreversible thing is death, right? Because I saw it from up close and that made a big impression on me. That's the only thing that is irreversible. Other than that, so if you are not died, you can do lots of great things, is what I want you guys to remember. And so if you have setbacks, I think Sandeep, either two things are happening, right? So let's say you're trying to apply for a job and you don't get it. Maybe you're applying for it earlier than you were supposed to, right? Like maybe you're supposed to earn some more experience, earn some more. Maybe the other person was better than you, frankly, right? Or maybe there are things that you have that people are not seeing in you, right? And they're just making sure that, sometimes there are perceptions about people, right? एकदा मलाच कळलं होतं की आय एम नॉट द मोस्ट ऑर्गनाइज्ड पर्सन. I thrive in chaos a little bit, right? That I'm a little bit chaotic. And if you are creative, generally you are a little bit chaotic. You're not as organized. आणि मग मी just ठरवलं की आता लोक असंच नाही मी म्हणतील की maybe she is not as organized or something like that. My God, I just double down on that, right? Find your weakness, whatever is your weakness, and double down on that. And what I mean by that is sometimes you fix it yourself. And in my case, I have lots of people, I'm just lucky that there are people who work for me. They make me look organized, they make me look good. And I have no shame in going and telling people that, hey, there is this lady, Kathy Higgins, she's a VP, works for me, amazing. She makes me look organized and I give her credit, I go tell everybody, but that's the truth. She makes me look organized, she keeps me organized. So I would say double down on your development opportunities, fix them, right? If there is a setback, also have, like to your point, Atisha, like have a mentor or somebody you can bounce your ideas on and say, hey, this thing didn't go so well, right? This meeting didn't go so well, I didn't get this job, or this project is completely going south. What are your opinions? Because people, when you go genuinely ask them, they'll probably tell you. And just always asking and feeling the pulse of what is going on and then making a plan as to how am I going to get it back on track will really help you. In fact, your setbacks will teach you more than your successes will ever teach you. Your setbacks, when you are in a hole and when you feel like, oh my God, life is so difficult, probably that is your best time of learning. You're doing your best work and best learning in that phase of life.
पण एक शेवटचा प्रश्न घेऊया. नेहा.
I wanted to ask, what is like your experience when it comes to like racial wage gaps, gender wage gaps, and like how you kind of brought that conversation up throughout your career, and like what advice you would give?
Yeah, and something, I mean, whether it's racial or whether it's gender, I mean, there are wage gaps, to be very frank, and I'll speak for Lowe's that we have taken very, specific stance of actually really looking at our data and making sure that we are not, differentiating. Because as long as you're doing the same job, whatever is your race, whatever is your gender, you should get paid the same. And at the same time, we live in a capitalistic society. And what happens in capitalistic society is, even if both of you have graduated from the exact same college and you both have 3 years of experience, because of various factors that go in a job, right, you may get paid differently. And as long as you are in an acceptable range, that's considered okay, because no two people will be getting paid exactly the same, dollar for dollar, right? I'll tell you something, when you notice things like that, first of all, your company should be really active in looking at data and making sure that they are doing fair things. But let's say you notice something like that, right? There is nothing wrong in going to your leader, but directly to your leader. Don't talk to other people because they will not have any influence on your, on your salary or wages. Go talk to your leader. And the book that we just talked about, that Crucial Conversation, is a really good book to kind of face such thorny issues. Because you could go to your leader and you could say, hey, this is my perception. I think I'm not paid as per my capability. And I have a feeling, and some data frankly, that there are other people who are kind of doing the same job as me and are getting paid more than me. Now, you are my leader, I completely trust you, but can you tell me more about it? Is there something wrong in my understanding? Am I not understanding this well? Or what should I do differently in order to make sure that my wage is progressing just like others who have the same capability? And I think shining the light on that, kind of talking about that, there is nothing wrong in it. You should get paid exactly as per your capabilities and not because of your gender. What I've also noticed is because women don't ask for raises as much, or they don't talk about their pay as much, there is a tendency to deprioritize that. I don't think anybody is going out of their way to say, I'm going to pay all these women less. But it's probably that there are others who are asking for raises constantly, so your attention, it's like when there are 3 children at home and 2 are constantly crying, you probably are picking them up much more than the 3rd kid who's playing on his own, right? The squeaky wheel gets a little bit of attention, but there is nothing wrong in going and talking to your leader and having a conversation about that. But I think all professional companies are making sure that they are looking at the numbers and data and making sure that they are, paying fairly. Paying unfairly in this market is just the most stupid thing to do when every knowledge worker is so much in demand. That is the most stupid thing to do, is to not pay people well. But good question.
थँक्यू. शार्लेट मराठी मंडळाच्या वतीने आपल्या ट्रस्टी नीना करंबळेकर, प्रेसिडेंट संदीप पवार आणि माधवी सीमांतिनी गोडबोले यांच्या आभार मानते.